He also worked nights part-time for the Red Oak Police Department. I was always thrilled to hear him on the radio or see him in a police car around town. Later, he went to work for the much better pay at the Iowa Soil Conservation Commission, which unfortunately required a lot of traveling around the state. Our new home in a new neighborhood wasn't large by Red Oak standards, but its 2 bedrooms plus attic and basement were spacious compared to naval housing. Its exterior was white clapboard, and my mother's first order of business was to paint the front door and window shutters powder blue in tribute to her 100% Swedish heritage. Her second order of business was to find a dance studio offering lessons for 3-year-olds. Fortunately, she found 21-year-old Joan Levitt, who was then splitting her teaching time between nearby Shenandoah and a larger studio in 1 hour away Council Bluffs. Proof of Joan's local popularity is in my first recital program for Joan Levitt Presents Variety Show at the Shenandoah High School Auditorium on June 1st and 2nd, 1948. 32 different dance numbers were performed by 102 students on 2 nights in a row. Among them, 4-year-old Judi Sheppard danced Sweet Miss, Dainty Miss in an orchid-ruffled dress made by her mother. My first mentor. Although my mother was delighted that dancing helped normalize my stance, she never pushed me to dance. In fact, on several occasions when I became frustrated and complained about a particular dance move, sequence, or challenge, she told me explicitly, "Look, if this isn't something you want to do, then stop. Find something else you can put your heart into and do that." Knowing I had the freedom to take a different path at any time made it easier to keep going. She also made it clear that if I was going to continue, I had to practice. Often, she practiced with me. She believed in the importance of working hard to refine talent rather than simply relying on it. For the next 7 years, I worked hard on my dancing and have 3 large scrapbooks of recital programs, county fair performances, and appearance flyers to prove it. In my 11th summer, however, my teacher Joan Levitt decided that her duties in both Council Bluffs and Shenandoah were too much for her, and she elected to pull back into her Council Bluffs studio an hour away. My mother, however, was not to be deterred. On her own, she made the rounds of every major dance studio in both Council Bluffs and Omaha across the Missouri River with the ingenious proposal that if they or an assistant would consider teaching satellite classes twice a week in Red Oak, she would find an appropriate venue, recruit the required number of students, help produce and promote an annual recital, and handle all the accounting. Most of the big city studio owners passed, but after numerous tries, my mother found a few talented teachers who were willing to give it a try. With true entrepreneurial zeal, once she'd secured several local sites, Mom made up flyers for various classes: ballet, tap, lyrical, and jazz, my favorite, as well as folk and social dancing, and posted them at nursery schools, churches, libraries, and grocery stores around Red Oak and in all the smaller farm communities within a 20-mile radius. Her efforts were an impressive success. 2 years later, when I was only 13, several little girls in the neighborhood approached me to ask if I would be their teacher. I talked to my parents about the possibility. They quizzed me extensively about my objectives, my willingness to commit for no less than a 9-month, September through June, period, and the need to mount a recital at the end. When they were convinced that, whether I succeeded or failed, this could be a good learning experience for me, my father remodeled our basement into a small studio. And once again, my mother went to work, this time helping her daughter set up and manage the business. I began with 8 students in September 1957 and mounted our first small recital that Christmas. By June, I had 100 students and a sold-out 2-night recital in Red Oak High School's auditorium. My dad created the space for me to teach my students, and my mom helped me with the books and drove me downtown every Monday to deposit my weekend earnings in the bank for college. But they also insisted that I was in charge, that whatever decisions I made had consequences, and that owning, correcting, and learning from my mistakes were the keys to real success. Years later, when I decided to start my own dance fitness business in Chicago, I remembered what my mother had done. I knew the model worked. I knew I could develop a